Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angryprepper. Today's video, we're going to do the Prepper movie critique. Now, I'm bringing that back again just because there's a lot of movies out there, and it's something different than fucking complaining and talking about the end of the world and nuclear bombs and we're all going to fucking die and all this other bullshit. Enough. Let's get back to having a little bit of fun and talking about certain movies and even TV shows. Now, today's Prepper movie critique is actually a TV show called The Last of Us. The Last of Us, which I hate to say, is a really good TV show. Now, I didn't want to like the show because of the actor that was in it, but I do love zombie/monster TV shows and movies. So here I am. So The Last of Us, I'm focusing on an episode. And this episode was surprisingly good. Surprisingly good, even though they had two gay characters in it. They wrote those two characters in very fucking well. They wrote it in so well, I was trying to not like the show, and I was like, this is a good episode. It was a really fucking good episode. I mean, like, they actually hit it on the head. The two characters, again, who were gay, it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel like it was wokeism. It was just done well. They told their story, and they told the story of what was going on, and it blended in very, very well. Didn't feel forced at all. For those of you that might not know, The Last of Us is a TV show that was a game, right? So it's a very popular game. If you paid attention, if you have kids, you heard of The Last of Us, and you heard of the synopsis of the game. These monsters come from a mushroom or fungus called cordyceps, however you pronounce it, and it grows, it festers in people, and they become these monsters. So that is the synopsis or the premise of the game. Now, the TV show is a post-apocalyptic drama starring Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Now, Pedro Pascal is from Mandalorian. So this guy's he's killing the TV shows. I mean, he's really doing a good job. And again, I liked Mandalorian right up until that bullshit that went down a couple of years ago. But we're not going to talk about that here. Anyway, so with the TV show, guys, starring these two, if you look under the cast, there's a lot of other people in the cast, but everybody, it seems, at least the way I'm reading it, has an appearance in one or two episodes at best. One guy has about 6 appearances in the show, which is 6 episodes. But everybody else has like 2 or 3 and they're done. So the main characters are Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. Now, Bella Ramsey, by the way, guys, that's a weird-looking fucking kid. I'm sorry. People are like, don't pick on her. She's a little... Fuck it. She looks weird. I'm watching the show, and I'm like, yo, there's something about this kid I just don't like. And I'm like, it's her face. But, nonetheless, her character is really good. Her character is a, smart-ass teenager that talks shit. But she's really good at it, and she makes you feel like that's your daughter. So she's doing a good job acting in that aspect. So anyway, the episode we're talking about is episode 3. So the synopsis of the show, right? The synopsis of the show, guys, is that Bella Ramsey, her character, is infected, but she hasn't turned. And she's been infected for quite some time and hasn't turned, and they're trying to figure out why. So they start to come to conclusions that she could be the cure, and Pedro Pascal's character has to get her to a quarantine zone or a rebellion zone so that they can figure out why she's not turning, and how they can turn this into a cure. So that's a synopsis of the TV show. The episode I'm talking about is episode 3. Again, very good episode, the way it was written. And it starred these two characters, Murray Bartlett and Nick Offerman. Now, some of you guys recognize Nick Offerman from, I think it was Recreational Park on NBC, if that's the show, if I got that show correct. And him and Murray play the gay characters. Now, the reason why it pulled me in, because Nick's character, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Bill, and Frank is Murray. Bill is a prepper or survivalist. So the beginning of the episode starts with him in his basement with all his guns and shit, and he's hiding out. He's watching the town being evacuated via closed circuit TV camera. So with that, the town is evacuated, and spoiler alert, by the way, sorry. With that, guys, the town is now empty, It's all to himself, and he starts to turn the town into a fortress. So instead of just building a perimeter around his house, he built the perimeter around the town, which I thought was slick. Or at least he built perimeters and he puts up fencing where at its weak points, if you will. So he did a good job with that. And they don't tell you how long it took for him to do that. I mean, I guess they sort of do, but it definitely took him a while. He got his garden in play. He put up a perimeter around the fence. He kept power running to the town for a duration. They don't actually go over how long, but he was able to do that on his own. I guess he was smart enough to figure out how to work that and use that to his advantage. And then he also had generators and things like that he was drawing power from. And if I'm not mistaken, I think there was a solar panel in there somewhere, which was powering his home. So then he runs into his mate, the guy Frank, and Frank falls into a booby trap hole that Bill set up all on the outside of the perimeter. So before you even get to his fence, and the fence is electrified fence, he built little, what do they call them? Traps, trip lines and shit like that. So he did a good job in defending his own town. He took the whole town over. Now, the one thing I appreciated, and they mentioned it in the fucking show, is that the town was in an area where the guards, the people that were shuttling people away, they wouldn't come up there because it was just out of the way and there was no reason for them to be up there. And the infected often didn't come up there because, again, it was too far out of the way for a lot of people. Like a lot of those small towns you see in like middle America, there'd be no reason for anyone to really be out there, especially being that, if I'm not mistaken, the town was on the top of a hill. So that gave him the security he needed alone. But again, he was able to grow his food. He had enough firearm to protect himself. He had an electrified fence. He was able to run power. He was able to hunt and do all of those things and never be bothered for the 20-something years that they were there. So the character Frank, the other guy that comes in, his lover, if you will, they did a good job with those two. And the negotiation that they had in the relationship was pretty cool. There was one scene where Frank was like, "Don't you say that shit to me again. I'll run through one of your trip lines." I was like, holy shit. Like, it was just interesting that the dynamics they put in. But from a prepper aspect, that guy, Bill, his fucking land, or how he protected that town and how he became more self-sufficient was excellent. Now, granted, could somebody do that on their own? They probably could. It did take him years to do it. So I thought that was very good. They put the years in. They actually did. They, like, from when it started till he met Frank, I think it was. I think it was 3 years. From the time that the city was the town was evacuated till he met Frank was 3 years. And then they showed them progress over time. They showed them getting old together and dying together and all that other bullshit. But it was really good how self-sufficient he was because he had the know-how to do it. Now, what do we learn from Bill? Bill was well-rounded. They didn't get into that too much, but you can tell he was well-rounded by the things he was able to do. Even Frank took in gardening and learned how to garden. And they were able to grow certain things like strawberries, which was a scene they had where they were able to grow strawberries. So, again, guys, being a prepper is being well-rounded in a lot of shit. And this guy was already older. Nick Offerman's character, Bill, was already older. So it showed you how well-rounded he was and a lot of the things he started implementing after the town was taken over. Now, obviously, you want to practice a lot of this shit before it actually happens. But building an electrified fence, you have to have some engineering skills to do it. I don't think I could put one up. I could probably figure it out over time. But he was able to do it pretty quickly. And he was able to do a lot of other things and know that he was in a position where nobody was going to come up there and attack him because he was in a town that was just out of the way from everything. So that's always a good starting point when looking for a place or a bug out place or a place where you just want to be away from society. You're going to be in that spot where you're not going to get that much traffic. And if they do come up there, it'll be few far in between, like in his case. Anyway, guys, The Last of Us, very good TV show. It's only 3 episodes in, and each episode was good. I hate to say it, the gay episode, episode 3, was excellent. They just wrote it really well, and showing his survivalist prepper aspect was really good. They nailed it. So other than that, guys, There will be more Prepper movie critiques. I'm going to do one on a movie called White Noise. Though White Noise, the Prepper aspect of it is really short and really small. But nonetheless, I'm going to talk about it because there were some points to take away from what happened to them in that movie. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. See you in your next video.